have you been on a journey of, when organizations change, funding models change, organizations go through a large change journey and they have to rethink their purpose, the reason to being, what is more important, dollars versus service delivery, all of those basic qualifying questions, and the board and the chair and the CEO has to come back and realign to the new value systems and look for a new culture. So have you been on any culture journey?
Yeah, definitely. So when I became CEO in 2018, we went into a new strategic planning process. Yeah. And for a period of time, the board had been considering branching into more broader aspects of healthcare or community services. It could be AOD, disability, a whole range of things. When I became CEO and we went through that process, I was really clear that I thought it was the best thing just to stay only mental health. So we only provide mental health services. We are a true mental health specialist agency. We do not do anything else. And I guess the realignment for us is to say, well, okay, if we're going to, what's the reason for that? And the reason for that is if you're caring for the most unwell people in the community, which is what we do at Richmond, we do real pointy-end services. That requires a lot of expertise and a lot of focus. And I didn't feel that we could provide the best quality service with the expertise required in mental health, whilst also trying to be really good in lots of other areas. I just don't think it was possible for the size of the organisation at the time. So the other thing then is to say, well, in the work that we're going to go for, how are we going to determine where we're going to look to expand? And I was really clear that we only go for tenders if I can look in the mirror and honestly say to myself, Richmond Wellbeing is the best placed organisation to provide that care.
Yeah.
And if I can think of any other organisation who I believe can provide a better quality care than us, I don't go for it. And I would happily call the CEO of that agency and say, well, we're not going to go for it. We think, you'd be a great lead. And I have these conversations regularly with people and I'll say to them, look, I'm happy to help. If you think we can add some value, happy to help. And then the next part is whether we get roles funded in that is irrelevant for me. So and because it's easy for us, especially as CEOs, to say, oh yeah, well, we put the need of the community first. Well, that's easy to say that. But my belief is that where the rubber hits the road is in these decisions where we can't say we're community focused and we're client focused if we go for tenders where we're not genuinely the best placed people to go for it. And then if we're really client focused, we need to be able to say to other CEOs, I'll support your bid and we'll add to that, whether it's funded or not, because that's actually putting the clients first.
That's very interesting qualifying beforehand, but do you think everybody's in that privileged situation to say, okay, I don't think so. I can deliver most of it. I have 70% capabilities to deliver this part of the project. To go out and say, no, I'm not good 95%. I'm good just 70 or 60% for this tender.
Okay.
How many CEOs in the sector have that leadership?
Yeah. Look, I think it's grown, but that's a really good other point to clarify. So we've got 2 tenders we've won in the last 2 years where we partner with Anglicare or Serenian House for exactly that reason, where I've said, look, I think we are the best placed agency to be the lead provider here because it's residential mental health services 24/7 for the most unwell in the community. We've been doing that for 45 years. But in these 2 instances, you're absolutely right. The AOD component or the other community component, I thought to myself, we're not everything. We can't do this in its entirety by ourselves. And so we went in with partners and so we drew them in. So that's a really good thing to clarify from my first statement because we're not all things to all people. Look, the organisations I work with, I'm seeing that in a really growing amount of instances, and I'm optimistic that it could be really the new way of working, that everyone works more that way. And I think in the coming years, I think more rather than less will be working in that manner.
Yeah.